Hey everybody, welcome to my Periscope today. Want to say, would love for you to, when you come in, just to tell us your name and where you're scoping from, and also want to welcome all of our repeat viewers. We've got some good stuff for you today, so hang in there. Um, I asked a little while ago. Yeah, excuse me, I just finished working out, so I'm trying to catch my breath. I asked a little while ago about what we should talk about today. I mentioned that I really want to take, even if it's just 10 minutes on Fridays, about 12, just to talk. And something jumped out at me that somebody asked, and it was how to handle transition, how to handle change. And sometimes, if you're a believer, hello Indianapolis, and I see Smyrna's with us, and some of these other ones. Good morning, chosen powerhouse. Okay, good to see you. Felicia from Philadelphia, good to see you too. Sometimes when you're a believer and you're somebody that's following Jesus, you get a change in assignment. I mean, if you look at the Bible, you'll find that have the Ren saying, good to see you. Um, all right. Uh, what you'll see is that, God will lead us into seasons. I think the best example of that is found in Exodus, where Israel was following the the tabernacle. Basically, God had them create a tabernacle, and they wouldn't know where they should be because there would be a cloud that was really God's glory that would rest on the tabernacle. When the cloud would lift, then they knew pack up, it's time to go, and then wherever it would stop, they would go, they would stop. And this was pretty much how God led them in the wilderness for years. And it's really similar to how God leads us. If you look at Jesus' ministry, there were seasons to it. If you look at Paul's ministry, there were seasons to it. And in our lives, there are seasons, particularly when it comes to our calling, when it comes to our assignment. But change is hard, man. It's one of those things where you look forward to it because you're excited because God's going to do something um, amazing. You've got a dream that is coming into fulfillment, but at the same time, you've got to deal with all the stuff that comes with change. One of the biggest issues we have with change is other people, and people won't always um, be on board with you. They don't always see what you see. They don't always have a hold of the vision that God has given you, and so they may buck against what you're doing. And so it's important that you make sure you've heard from God, and it's important that you've talked to some godly counsel so that you're sure you're following God. And then you got to try your best not to be offended at people that are standing in the way or fighting against the vision God has given you. You're trying to do what God told you to do, and they're in the way. I mean, Joseph dealt with this like unlike any other when he had two dreams from God and nobody could understand it. His own brothers hated him because of, even his father didn't understand it, but at least he was open enough to say, you know what, there might be something to this. Well, Joseph had to forgive his brothers, and he ended up in a really tough spot. But when it was all said and done, his dream came to pass. And so sometimes you got to deal with people. You love on them. You try to speak to them in love. You try to honor best you can, but you do have to do what God's told you to do. Um, Another thing about change is that many times it is difficult for you emotionally. If God's telling you to leave someone or leave some people or leave a place, it can be tough because you love people. You are in a place where you have um, you got ties with in the community, whether it's your church or your workplace or whatever. And yet, I can tell you that when God's telling you to go, that He will comfort you in the process. He will comfort you. He will comfort them, and that He'll make things. I'm doing a ministry thing, but He'll make things. My kid's about to hijack my Periscope. He will make things smooth for you with them. You'll have a peace that passes understanding. The Bible says that. You think, oh, that sounds good, but when you've experienced it, man, it's just amazing. So you got to make sure that, so you got to trust God, that if God's saying move on, that He's got you when it comes to your family. He's got you when it comes to relationships. all that stuff. Yeah, that's right. This is a no hijack zone. I like that. Um, and then in change, you got to be, the whole thing about being led by God, is you got to be led step by step. So one question I've consistently asked is, what's the next step, God? And then focus on doing that step, not getting ahead of God, not, well, God, you showed me this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do all this stuff. No, because you can't get there by yourself. You have to do it with Him. So just take a step. Whatever step He's given you, follow that step. Make sure you're led. Every decision you're making is on sure footing, because you can step out to do God's thing and mess it up doing it your way. So you got to make a point of doing that as well, and being led by Him, even as you're making that transition. If you're moving to a new area, be led about where you live, where you work. I mean, even be led in regards to being led in regards to who you're connected with, who you're gonna hang with, who your friends are. I'm gonna talk about this at 8:12 tonight, but God leads by whispers and nudges, so follow His direction. He has you walking on the water, and when you're walking on the water, this is not the time to slip. This is the time to make sure every step is where it's supposed to be. And let me finish by saying this. And I do like that my man Fisher Francis mentioned. I'll say this: timing is really important with change, because sometimes we get ahead of God, and there is a time for every step. So when Jesus said in John 17, "Father, the hour is come." Well, that means up until that point, the hour hadn't come. Sometimes we got a dream in our heart, but it doesn't mean you're supposed to do it tomorrow. I've sure done that. God put something in my heart heavy, and then I just stepped out to try to do it, and it just crashed because it wasn't the right time. So you got to make sure you hear from God on the timing, and make sure that you're doing things when He said to do it, that the hour is come. And then let me end with saying this real simply, that God's if you're in a season of change, it's because something better is ahead. That God takes us from glory to glory. It will be worth it. You will see great increase, great impact. You're going to see God do something amazing. You're going to see your dreams come to pass. So whatever the difficulties are that come from change is worth it. Go forward, follow God in every step of it, and it's going to produce something good for you. That's right. The best is yet to come. So, anybody got anything you want to add about that, or questions you want to ask, or anything you want to say? I saw somebody talking about a relationship deal, and how you can be with somebody and it end up not working out. And I think the one thing that's really simple, um, yeah, I can imagine, is you gotta be led in relationships, man. A lot of times we end up in these long-term relationships because we miss God's whispers and nudges, and we got so emotionally entangled in somebody. And I personally believe that you should know within the first month whether or not this is somebody that I'm supposed to be with. If you're really spending the time talking and praying, if you're listening to the Holy Ghost, and so you got to make a point of doing that. I saw the whole change the blueprint. The husband changed the blueprint, and it's devastating. And I understand what you're saying. I will say it's not over. Don't give up. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on your husband. Things do change, and you really got to fight this battle in war. In prayer. I just saw that movie War Room. It was awesome, and man, it was so on the money. And there's some battles that you just cannot fight in a conversation. You cannot fight in any normal way. You got to fight it in prayer, and so you've got to do that. And so you make sure that you do that as well. I saw something about following a woman's dream, and this is so important, that whoever you're with, whoever you marry, your callings have to match. That's why you got to hear from God. And because there isn't. Sometimes you're just thinking, is my calling or yours? And if that's the case, this isn't supposed to be. You dating and it's my calling or yours. Mm-mm. The way God works is that everybody's going to be able to do what God called them to do together. And now the timing might be different. We might spend some time working on this person, doing what God called them to do, and then we get to a certain place where, okay, now God's got this going. Now it's time for you to do your part. In my household, there's been some level of that. My wife is coaching now and she's been doing it for a couple of years. Big part of what's in her heart, but that wasn't what she was doing for 10 years ago. There was a season that wasn't the case, and she was raising little babies. But now she's coaching, and she loves that. And the whole time I've been doing certain things, and I've had seasons. So callings are supposed to work together. That's even true in the workplace. It's not supposed to be, It's just one guy's calling and nobody else, everybody else just serving their calling. The way it's supposed to be is that we're all serving God together. And, I'm here because this is part of my calling, which happens to be helping you in your calling. But if something changes or whatever, then you're going to work with me and help me out. So you have to go from there. You asked about the 72-hour rule and what if your spouse isn't interested. I don't know if that was a lady or a guy asking that, but I will say um, two things off the top of my head, and I got to go um, because I'm actually going to get a haircut. That's why I'm wearing a hat because y'all don't want to see this. But but two things, and one of them is you got to communicate and how you feel and what your thoughts are. My guess is, oh, that's a lady. There's a part of just a lack of revelation there. People don't understand that marriage equals romance. Marriage equals, oh, can't use that word with my 7-year-old walking in here. So it does. And so I mentioned a book last week along those lines. I finished with my new song. Okay. Okay. Well, let me finish this, and I'm gonna catch up with you. Okay. Okay.
Hi, you folks.
All right. Peace. Bye. Give me a second. Okay. Um, you got to step out, baby, so I can talk just for a second about something. Just step out, just for a little bit, just for a second. Come on, come on, come on, because I got to go. Come on, come on. I can't even, she's right outside the door. There's a book that uses that word impairment. So I would tell you, hello, that get a hold of that book, read it together, do the 7-day challenge. Get them on board with that because a lot of people don't get that part of things. Hey, Alicia, you understand with your little ones. So, but there's a lack of education issue there, really. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Their marriage is destroyed for lack of knowledge, not understanding. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for posting that. So, all right. Well, hey, from Brooklyn, good to see you. I got to run, but I wanted just to check in with y'all. It's good talking to y'all. I wish I had more time. I'll see you next Friday at 12, and maybe before then. I mean, I did scope maybe a couple days ago, but that was just entirely my kids taking over. So, that's fun too. But love you guys. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well as Periscope. And I do have Snapchat and Pinterest. I haven't really used them yet, but I do particularly look at Snapchat from time to time. So you can catch up with me anyway that you need to. And if you're in Detroit, come out to 812 Experience tonight. We're going to have a good time. Talk to you guys later.